And tonight on Joy News Prime, High Court jails Galamsey Queen Aisha Wang for 4.5 years as judge calls for stringent measures against chiefs and farmers who give out land to illegal miners. Also, Minister for Education Dr. Yao Osei-Duchim defends government's decision to reopen senior high schools barely a week after school placement was released.
We are opening in December, which gives us the opportunity to then open in October or September and therefore go back to the pre-COVID calendar as we all are envisaging.
And Witchcraft Bill hangs as President Akufo-Addo tells Parliament he is unable to sign due to some constitutional issues.
The contents of these bills have my support, but we need to ensure that they are enacted in line with established constitutional and legislative processes.
A High Court judge in Accra has jailed Galamsey Kimping Aisha Wang for 4.5 years, plus a 48,000 cedis fine. Aisha Wang was jailed on 4 counts of engaging in illegal mining, illegally employing foreigners to engage in Galamsey, among others. Delivering a judgment, Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo noted that stringent efforts must be made to prosecute chiefs and farmers who give out land to illegal miners to help the fight against the Galamsey. We'll get details on how the case transpired in court shortly, but first, let's take a look at how this case has traveled. Now, if we look at it, and Wang was accused of being in the thick of affairs of Galamsey, especially in the Ashanti region in 2017. She was deported from the country in 2018 after the AG decided to discontinue her trial, in which she was accused of engaging in small-scale mining without license. She was said to have sneaked back into the country to engage in the same activities for which she was deported. Now, it was the case of the prosecution that Wang had an illegal mining concession at Bepo Ting in the Amansie West District of the Ashanti region and also operated a mining support services company. She had pleaded not guilty to undertaking a mining operation without a license, facilitating the participation of persons engaged in a mining operation, the illegal employment of foreigners, and entering Ghana while prohibited from re-entry. But on May 3 this year, Aisha Wang pleaded guilty to entering Ghana while prohibited from re-entry, contrary to Section 24 of the Immigration Act 2000, that's Act 573. That was after she had entered into a plea bargaining agreement with the state, that's Office of the Attorney General. We cannot get how things panned out today. My colleague James Avaji was in court and has more in the following report.
Aisha Wang, a month ago, pleaded not guilty to 3 counts, including illegal mining, facilitating the participation of persons in Galamsey, and illegally employing foreigners, except the 4th count on illegally entering Ghana, which she pleaded guilty to. She was handed a 3,000 penalty unit and a 4.5-year prison term for illegal mining and facilitating Galamsey. Again, Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo also handed her a 12-month prison term for illegally employing foreigners and a 1,000 penalty unit and a 3-year prison term for re-entering Ghana without legal travel document. All sentences are to run concurrently, which means Aisha Wang will spend 4.5 years in jail and pay the fine in addition. Right after Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo read her judgment, counsel for the accused, Miracle Atache, rose to his feet and prayed the court to consider the accused on the basis that she has complied with the court and security officials since her arrest late last year. He said sentencing her would only put a financial burden on the state. He pleaded with the judge to fine and repatriate her. But Director of Public Prosecutions Yvonne Atakra Obubisa argued against his plea. She wants her ladyship to impose a maximum jail term plus a fine on the accused. Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo, in her remarks, noted that considering all evidence provided by prosecution, she is left with no doubt that Aisha Wang's actions have been detrimental to the environment and have deprived many of their livelihood. She said the accused has taken the country's hospitality for granted. Justice Osei-Mafo also added that security officials did not do due diligence in granting her papers upon her second return. In view of these, the judge wants the state to go after chiefs and other landowners who give out their land to illegal miners. Aisha Wang will serve the next 4.5 years in prison and pay some 48,000 Ghana cedis to the state in fine. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Yeboah says he is satisfied with the conviction.
Yes, we are satisfied. You know, this offense was committed before 2019, that was between 2015 and 2017, and the law then was that the maximum sentence should be 5 years. So having been in custody for over 12 months, based on a constitutional provision on the, which imposes a duty on the judge to consider the number of years that a person has spent in custody, we think that 4 years, 6 months is reasonable in the circumstance. She's someone that has gotten her name in the media a lot. Today, she's come to the end of the road. We're able to successfully prosecute her. She's going to spend 4 years, 6 months in custody. It should be a lesson to the others that you may be engaging in illegal mining, but when your time comes, the law will deal with you in accordance with what we've had. So it's a fight that we have not won. It's a fight that is a continuous one. As I just said, we all need to take part in the fight. Aisha is going today. The next time we come to court, if others have committed similar offense, they also have their day in court. But let me also make this appeal to the public. This fight is not a fight of the Attorney General. This fight is not a fight of the police service. It's our fight. If you have any evidence to the effect that an individual, group of individuals, or an entity is engaged in illegal mining, don't sit in your house. Offer that evidence to the security agency so that we can follow up and then prosecute them as we've done in this particular case.
I mean, would the state be able to ensure that she's supported? We know she has had issues going out and coming back into the country. After
her sentence, if she is able to serve her sentence, she will be deported in accordance with law.
James Aveji's report for Joy News.
Well, Professor Frimpong Boateng, former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and convener for Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, say they are disappointed that Aisha Wang will spend only 4.5 years in prison. They were speaking at the Joy News National Dialogue on Illegal Mining.
I believe that the law was changed and the minimum sentence was supposed to be 15 years. So that's what I know. Thank you.
So it should have been 15 years instead of what we had?
Minimum.
Okay.
One of the points that have to be made is about this lady judge that's handling this case. Right from the onset, considering Aisha Wang as a flight risk, the positions she took, and the fact that she was very nationalistic in the doing of her job, you just have to position her against the judge, I think it was one quest in Takwa, who prosecuted, on whose court they prosecuted some 4 Chinese people. And he, in sentencing these foreigners, sentenced them to the minimum sentence for Ghanaians. You know, just a fine of 2,400 Ghana cedis. And seeing that finally we have got some conviction. My only pain is that apparently when we rearrested Aisha Wang, we still were prosecuting her under the old law. And my question I ask is that when she was rearrested, coming back again, was there, I think that was one of the charges. And then did she not get involved in any mining activity for which then the charges should have been under the current punishment regime. So yes, it's great that we've seen some prosecution of somebody who is not just one of those people we find in the forest reserves, and we've been able to get to the point where we're getting to. And I agree with Nana when he talks about getting to the basis and finding out why this thing is happening.
Well, let's move on to Zoom now and speak to a lawyer who has been at the forefront of this particular crusade. Martin Pegu has been speaking vociferously on this. He joins us via Zoom now. I'm grateful for you for joining us here. Now, other people are commenting on this ruling. First off, what's your view of the number of years that was given to her?
Yeah, so obviously it looks that is on the low side, you see. That is on the low side because if you look at it in view of the current law, where for a non-Ghanaian, my brother, the minimum is 20 years and the maximum 25. So you see that when you look at it in light of the current law, then it means that what Aisha Wang got is a slap on the wrist. And you know, the other side of it is that we have this jurisprudence that once the sentence has changed before the trial and conviction, the new sentence should what? That the new law would apply. But it appears in this particular case, the other jurisprudence that once she committed it under the old law, then the old law would apply. I'm not exactly, you know, we've not seen the judgment, so we'll hold our horses or reserve judgment. When we see, then we'll look at that thing. So there's that issue of the jurisprudence. Which one are you applying?
Okay.
The current law, which says minimum 20 years and maximum 25 years plus a fine, or the old law, which is the maximum of 5 years, and under which he's been sentenced.
So I'm happy you're a lawyer. You help us understand. Now, the deputy AG says she was prosecuted under the old law. When the new law came into being, should the new law have taken over? Or, I mean, in practice, were they right to have still gone about it under the old law?
That is what I'm baffled at. But like we say as lawyers, because we've not yet seen the judgment, we can't comment too much because there's jurisprudence on it. You see, sentencing is usually, so what I'm saying, divided opinion. In some parts of the law and in some countries, they'll tell you that a matter of sentence, you don't have a right to an old sentence. Once the law has been changed, it's the new sentence that has to be used, not the old one. Okay? So they tell that you don't have a right to procedure. So the sentence is said to be part of the procedural law. Sentencing is said to be part of procedural law. So you hear of old cases like Dokrugu versus the Republic and all those things. But like I said, let's get the judgment itself and then we'll continue the conversation. But at least we should be happy that the conviction has come in. And so Aisha Wang is being convicted, and that's a huge step forward because now she bears that criminal record. She will suffer a lot for it because, you know, as I always say, if you're even filling a passport, they will ask you, have you been convicted of a crime? She has to take yes. There are some countries she cannot enter because of what she's done. So it will come with a lot of loss of privileges and a lot of inconvenience and naming and shaming. So it's not bad on that score.
Okay. Grateful to you, lawyer, for joining us here on Joy News Prayer. But lawyer will be on PM Express tonight on the same subject, so you might want to catch him on that show. Now, President Akufo-Addo has told Parliament he is unable to sign some crucial bills passed by Parliament into law due to some constitutional issues. In July, Parliament passed bills abolishing the death penalty and prescribing accusation of witchcraft, as well as criminalizing the work of witchfinders. But in a letter to Speaker of Parliament read to the House, the President argued that the bills impose a charge on the consolidated funds, and such bills must come from the executive and not as private members' bill. The President says government will soon present such bills on the same subject before Parliament.
Writing to you in reference to our meeting held on 28th November 2023 at my office, where we discussed the outstanding bills presented for assent, namely the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2023, Criminal Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill 2023, and the Armed Forces Amendment Bill 2023. During our conversation, I raised specific constitutional concerns regarding these bills related to Article 108 of the Constitution, particularly the nature of these bills, which were introduced into Parliament as private members' bills, rather than being presented by or on my behalf. I appreciated the opportunity to engage with you in a meaningful dialogue about these critical legislative matters and valued your insights on the subject. As I indicated, the contents of these bills have my support, but we need to ensure that they are enacted in line with established constitutional and legislative processes. Thus, after thorough consideration, and in light of the constitutional issues I pointed out during our meeting, I am unable to assent to these bills. The concerns raised are significant and have profound implications for the constitutional integrity of these legislative actions. Any legislation we pass must be in complete alignment with the provisions of our Constitution. I intend to have these bills reintroduced in Parliament on my behalf in due course. I thank you for your cooperation in this matter. Yours sincerely, Nana.
Well, proponent of the bill, Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, is with us here for a reaction on this. Now, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. You must feel deflated, isn't that the case?
Not at all. I'm not deflated at all.
Okay.
I think I'm still in very high spirit because we were elected into the Parliament of Ghana to do the bidding of Ghana and to work for and on behalf of the people of Ghana. And to say that I am rather shocked and very, very flabbergasted to hear the reasons being adduced by the president for his inability to sign those bills into law. I must say that those reasons are quite strange. They are incongruous. They are untenable. And maybe I would say that they are unfathomable because bills initiated in Parliament do not automatically become law. It goes through a number of scrutiny before they become law. For example, particularly because it's not a government bill, you can't pass it under state of emergency. So when you initiate the bill will first go through the legislative process of being vetted by the drafts department of Parliament, after which it would you will get a final draft, which is gazetted. When you gazette the bill, it takes 14 days, after which the bill is read the first time on the floor of Parliament. And once the bill is read, it's referred to the committee, depending on the subject area committee. In this case, it was referred to the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. Ghana.
But the president says that they are going to, introduce to Parliament similar bills. Doesn't it make up for it?
Well, if it makes up for it, would the president not be causing financial loss to the state by trying to reintroduce a bill that has been processed through the parliamentary process? Do you know what it takes for a committee of Parliament to convey over a weekend in a facility to consider all these bills and have no mean a person than judges of the Superior Court, Attorney General's department coming, and all state actors coming together to ensure that these bills go through the processes for them to be passed into law? So would the president be rather burdening the public by taking this strange approach of trying to say that I want to reintroduce the bill? In my view, I think that the president is not acting in good faith on these bills. This year, on the 10th of October, 2023, Ghana was given a seat at the Human Rights Council on account of these very, very important human rights bills that got passed this year. And so for the president to take a U-turn on these bills, for me, I think it's a mark of hypocrisy. And I think he shouldn't do that because he has an acclaimed title of being a human rights lawyer. I think he should walk the talk in this matter.
What do you intend to do next?
Well, there are several processes in Parliament. The President, when you are of the view, if you say you don't want to assent to a bill, that's not the end of the day. It doesn't mean that merely saying I don't want to assent to a bill gives you the power to reintroduce those bills. The law, when you look at Article 106.8, it makes it clear that the President will have to write back to Parliament and give us the details within the next 14 days. And if he has proposed amendments, he brings those proposed amendments, then those amendments could be considered.
Okay.
But to say that, merely saying that because I don't want to assent, I want to reintroduce, for me, I think that will cause financial loss to the state.
All right. So I wanted to understand if there are specific actions you, as a proponent of this bill, would want to do next. But I think we might want to leave it here. This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more news. Do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, Minister for Education, Dr. Aisha Wang, has defended government's decision to reopen senior high schools barely a week after school placement was released. This decision generated some controversy, with teacher unions kicking against the decision, whilst Parliament last week urged the minister to reconsider the decision. But providing a briefing on the situation to MPs on the matter, the minister cited the early release of the harmonized prospectus, as well as the desire to revert the academic calendar on track as part of the reason why this decision was taken and why they refused to revise the decision. The minority were not impressed with the response of the minister. There is more in the following report.
Last week, Parliament had urged the Education Minister to reconsider that decision to let students reopen barely a week after the placement had been done. The minister did not oblige. Today, he has been providing some answers in terms of why exactly his ministry had to do that. He's been explaining that government wants to bring back the academic calendar back on track.
For the first time, the Ministry of Education, with its relevant agents and stakeholders, developed a national harmonized prospectus for all senior high school and TVET students. And the same was published in the Daily Graphic on November 15, 2023. The purpose of the publication was, among other things, to give parents ample time to buy the prospectus items and get their works ready for school on December 4th, 2023. When these timelines are strictly followed, the contact hours will be duly achieved, and our quest to get back to the pre-COVID academic calendar will be on track. Last year, school opened in February for first-year students. This year, we are opening in December, which gives us the opportunity to then open October or September and therefore go back to the pre-COVID calendar as we all are envisaging.
But clearly the minority are not happy with the responses the minister has given.
Shortening the process, introducing a harmonized prospectus, well and good. But what quantum of money does a parent need to be able to buy all the items on the harmonized prospectus? So, Speaker, even the cost of a chobox, I'm not even talking about a trunk, is more than 200 Ghana cedis. And we are not even going to go through the list and talk about every single item. By my own rough estimates, at the very minimum, a parent will not require less than 3,000 Ghana cedis. Minimum, I say minimum, Mr. Speaker, minimum threshold.
As for this return to the pre-COVID era, I don't know why the sudden rush. You have not been in any hurry at all to return to the pre-COVID calendar. Even in terms of the final exams, we are no longer writing WASI with our colleagues in Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the rest. Now it's GASI, and you are not in a hurry to move from GASI. Speaker, I'm urging him that please let him extend the time for the public, particularly those who have had their children and relatives who have had an opportunity to go to these schools, to be able to organize enough and then so that they can be able to access this education of their choice.
On the majority side, however, the concern generally has been that Parliament did not have the power to direct the minister in terms of what to do in running his ministry day to day. The concern has also been that The Education Ministry was right in taking that decision because of the urgent need to bring back the academic calendar on track.
And the students are in school already. The minister had given us the statistics of the number of students that had been placed. Unfortunately, we probably do not have the number of students that have reported at the various schools.
Clearly, this was not a sudden decision. This was not a sudden decision. But there is something important, Mr. Speaker, I want to point out here. We as a political class must know what to play politics with and what we should congregate around as a national issue.
Well, clearly the Minister for Education has not listened to the concerns that came from Parliament. He had decided that the decision to let school reopen should stand. And as we speak, some students have already started reporting to school, and it will be very difficult to go back on the decision that has been taken. And clearly, as both members on each side have been saying, there is the urgent need for the minister and as well as other governmental agencies to listen when Parliament speaks. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, some parents and guardians of first-year senior high school students have called on government to move the reopening date of schools to a later date to enable them prepare adequately to provide the needed prospectuses as they race against time to meet the school's deadlines.
Exactly a week after junior high school graduates received postings to senior high schools, the Ghana Education Service ordered them to report to school. Teacher unions and members of parliament have raised the objections to this decision. The GES, however, is defending its decision, insisting it wants to restructure the SHS academic calendar. Some parents say pooling resources to buy essential items for their first year's wards at short notice has left them stressed.
It's too short. Some of us, we don't have money like that. So we are struggling to do what we can do. But if they can extend it, they can extend the distance, the time for us. I'm sending him back home. I couldn't buy all of his items, so I have to go back home.
Aside from the short notice, parents are also questioning the urgency for their children to go to school when they will break for Christmas in just 2 weeks. Mary Gifty Nyachiga is a senior high school teacher. She's unhappy with the GES decision, arguing that going back to school after taking a vacation break just last week will stress her colleague teachers.
Looking at teachers staying on campus throughout the year because of how the curriculum has been structured for our kids, in fact, it's unbearable. It's unbearable, and I think, government have to look into it again. NACA have to come in so that they look into it because, in fact, the teachers are stressed and they can die. Yes, we can lose our teachers out of stress.
A Form 1 male Achimota school student whose gender was altered to female by WAEC has yet to be corrected.
I chose St. James as my first choice, but the WAEC people changed my gender to female. So I couldn't choose a boys' school, a single-sex school. So I had to choose a mixed school. So when I chose the mixed school, I chose Achimota, and I'm now here. The head teacher told my parents that he write a letter to WAEC so that they will change it for me.
More queues are expected at the premises of the various senior high schools in the coming days as parents and guardians rush to get their wards admitted.
Now, still on education, parents want school reopening date extended as hundreds in Ashanti seek resolution to the placements. Some guardians of newly admitted students in second cycle schools in the Ashanti region are prevailing on government to consider an extension of reopening date for their wards. The parents say they are financially challenged to meet the needs of their wards in their preparation for school. Meanwhile, hundreds of non-placed students in and beyond the region continue to wait in line at the Regional Solution Center to resolve their concerns. Emmanuel Bright Kweku has been monitoring the situation at some schools in Kumasi.
Authorities at Kumasi Academy announcing specific items required of their newly admitted students. Students were to report to school on Monday. Unlike some senior high schools requiring an online admission, the fresh students are admitted manually. Moving in queues, the students are required to confirm their details at the various desks, after which they are offered accommodation.
Last Friday also, I came here. When you print the the results list, the photos is added to. So all the things that we bought them and then we have brought them.
So meaning your son is ready to start school today?
Yes, my son is ready to do the science. He's ever ready. Today he woke up around 4 o'clock.
But other guardians are concerned about the reopening dates. They allude that financial challenges are impeding preparations for the awards.
I traveled from Tema. This has become a burden. They should consider reopening next month.
The 2 weeks now,
I don't think my ward would really lend during this semester because this is the same period for admission.
I traveled from Sekhibekwai to this place.
Next year, they should consider 3 weeks for preparation.
At the Regional Solutions Center, hundreds continue to wait in line to seek redress to issues pertaining to their school placement. Many are stranded after they visited the center in the previous week to have their concerns resolved. But a solution to their concerns is yet to see the light of day.
I came here on Thursday. I've been sitting here all morning, but we don't know what's happening.
My son had a Jesuman. He was offered day, but it's far from where we live, so it will be a challenge.
It's about getting to 4 to 5 hours.
I came here with my children, but we have since not been served. We have other duties to attend to.
Over 100,000 of this year's BEC candidates were not placed through the computerized school selection and placement system. Out of the number, 61,375 have been placed through self-placement, with nearly 44,000 remaining to be placed nationally. Ashanti Regional Coordinator of the Free SHS Secretariat, Owusu Brobe, is assuring the stranded parents and students of immediate placements.
We had a little issue with our system. Now it has been resolved. So very soon, those who came here around Wednesday, Thursday, their issues are under control. So very soon, all the backlog will be cleared for students to get a place. They shouldn't panic. And they shouldn't fall into these Guru boys, pay money to fix them here and there.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break to bring you showbiz. Stay. All right, so time for us to do showbiz, and Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa is here. Jack, good evening.
Good evening. All right, so today we're going to church. Now, it was a night when the stars gathered at the Hilton Hotel, Washington, to praise and worship God through music. Another media edition of December to Remember and a Star in Worship, organized by Prophet Samson Amwatan. We have sights and sounds.
And welcome to December to Remember USA. Hello, there's a lady walking up to me, everybody. You need to see her. Ooh, she's on fire. Let's see how this goes. Hello. Whoa. Hi. Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing tonight at this Stars in Worship event?
The climax is going to be a great, phenomenal experience. It's to bring revival to the U.S., to bring revival to the body of Christ.
I haven't physically seen you in person in how many years?
So many years.
Too long.
10 years ago.
Great event. I know you've done December to Remember in Ghana for several years, and it's been so successful. Why are you trying to pull it off here in the USA?
You know, your passion determines your portion in life. I have that passion to see people saved, I have the passion to see people free. There are so many people who go to church, but they are not happy in life. So many people are trying their best, but my passion is to always see people succeed.
Love is not the destination. Love is the journey.
Jump off the porch, people. Jump off of the porch. You to say, I free my heart, I free my mind, come on, I free my whole being. I won't leave this conference the same. I didn't come all the way here to play.
All right, so that's from the state there.
Yeah, moving away from church. Now the NKSLM Foundation is gearing up to host a new humanitarian project, the KSM Festival.
It was a display of culture and entertainment at the launch of the KSM Festival hosted by NK Salem Medical Center. The main event, which is set for December 30th, is envisioned to bring together communities in the spirit of love and unity. The PRO for the NK Salem Foundation, Mr. Quay, explained the reason for this year's inclusion of entertainment in the foundation's annual humanitarian project and his expectations for the event.
We can't be having a humanitarian work and then focusing on just one aspect about it. As the mission and the objective of the foundation goes, we are looking at putting smiles on the face of people. We are looking at creating the awareness for people to embrace humanity. And then we are also looking at sharing love. So looking at these three things that we are putting together, we thought that it is wise that after the end of every program, we should have what? A music concert that we can at least dance, make merry, and then appreciate whatever the foundation is doing and what God is also doing for us as a whole.
Chief of Apofun Community, Nehemiah III, extended his support to the NK Salem Foundation with his heartfelt speech.
When one door is closing, many doors are open. Noji MK Salem. Ewo noni door ni egbele nyenye no juba. Won finye se. Yao. Chanel Beke. Yao.
Deborah Anders report for Journeys.
All right, now Kojo, what's your favorite part of Christmas? What do you like about Christmas?
The lighting, huh? And then the food.
Okay, well.
And when I was young, you can go everywhere, every house, and eat.
Okay, that is interesting. Well, December is something a lot of people look forward to. I mean, December in Ghana, in our Dirty December series for today, we'll tell you why lightning is an essential part of Christmas.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It is 21 days to Christmas, and if you're yet to smell the scent of Christmas, at least open your eyes to the beautiful lights transforming the city's landscape. A drive-through Accra shows beautiful lights that liven the Christmas atmosphere. Jandel Limited is responsible for many lights and decor that set your heart at ease.
So, because anytime people see decorations and all that, it tends to, excite them. It tends to keep you thinking of what to do for your loved ones and all that kind of thing. So I studied that and I saw that it would be of great economic and emotional value to start decorating some public areas in Accra. So we springboarded from Accra and then it caught on to some of the regions, yes.
Before you contemplate exceeding your budget for Christmas light, here's Chandel's perspective.
That even if you can't buy lights to decorate your house, there is a place where you can freely go, just transportation, and take pictures and feel happy. So, you don't have to stress anybody that by all means buy lights and do. If they can afford it, fine. if the corporate bodies have, magnanimously, they are doing this as a CSR, and they're putting these lights in these various places. Why don't you take advantage of it and enjoy it?
The festive December can commence on a heartwarming note with light illuminating the way forward. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Somayabua.
Another year over, a new one.
Oh, that was a beautiful song to end with. Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin for you. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Prime Business with Emma Davis.
Good evening and welcome to Prime Business. My name is Emma Davis. Let's settle for the details. In 2024, every 32 pesos of 1 cedi of domestic revenue will be used to service the country's debt. That's according to the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE. This represents 32% of domestic revenue. There's more in the following report. In 2022, the country spent 56 pesos of every 1 cedi of domestic revenue in servicing debt. According to ISE, the government must minimize borrowing going forward. This is because a high deficit will lead to high borrowing, whilst a high debt servicing will restrict fiscal space for capital expenditure. In its analysis of the impact of the 2024 budget on the private sector, it said there haven't been many changes between 2023 and 2024 revenue targets, and as such, there is a slightly higher indication for fiscal consolidation in spending. The research organization also expressed worry about the crowding out of the private sector, thus calling for a zero financing of the budget by the Bank of Ghana in 2024. Overall, the fiscal balance is projected at 4.8% of the size of the economy in 2024 compared to 5.9% for 2023. ISE added that achieving 2024 targeted fiscal balance will provide a good signal on the potential to break the infamous political business cycle. Meanwhile, economist Professor Peter Korte has expressed optimism in the stability of the cedi going into the festive season.
The outlook still remains positive. I don't think the cedi is going to depreciate very rapidly. We are in November. Normally, November, December, there is high demand for forex, but you still see that we still very comfortable in terms of the depreciation. I think there is hope. The IMF program is delayed, but we are told that by first week of December or second week of December, there is likely to be some release. We have met all the conditions. If government has not met the conditions, then that is where we should panic. But I think having met all the conditions, what is left is for the external creditors to give us an assurance letter. And I don't think that is a big thing. And I believe that will happen. So, the outlook for the exchange rate looks positive in my view.
Away from Easter, many scientists are predicting the Earth is heading toward a global warming danger zone, and humans are responsible for most of it by upsetting the balance in the natural ecosystem. The massive scale of livestock farming releases represent 14.5% of anthropogenic emissions of greenhouse gases. One of the biggest challenges to achieving mitigation in the livestock sector in tracking emissions is to implement national inventories. In light of this, the Soil Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research organized a workshop to discuss the development of Tier 2 of an inventory for the sector. There's more in this report. Systems for measuring and monitoring changes in livestock greenhouse gas emissions are underdeveloped in many countries. Challenges in compiling data about the activities related to livestock management is a primary barrier. Currently, most developing countries, including Ghana, use the IPCC Tier 1 approach, which can only reflect change in livestock numbers. In view of this, the Soil Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, in collaboration with the New Zealand Agricultural Greenhouse Research Centre, are working to develop Tier 2 of the livestock greenhouse gases inventory improvement support in Ghana. Professor Paul Bosu is Director General of CSIR.
We want to know, as a country, as a people, how are we doing with our production systems? Are we doing it such that though we are producing, for example, livestock, it is harming the environment, it is increasing the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and for that matter, contributing to global warming. So if we are not doing it well, if the figures are higher than expected, then as a people, we need to develop sustainable ways of producing livestock so that it doesn't harm the environment, our environment, and the environment of the world as a whole. The other thing is that then we can also source for support from, for example, the Climate Action Group to help us to develop. So it can bring in resources even as we try to develop sustainably.
Assistant Director of Agriculture at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Jibril Ahmed, explained the difference between Tier 1 and 2.
Ghana is a signatory to the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. And as a signatory, we need to report on our emission levels annually. Yeah, so this workshop is about improving the livestock inventory. We report on the crop subsector. We also report on the livestock sector as an agriculture sector. And we use the methodology is the Tier 1 methodology. And that is what we currently use to report on our emission levels within the livestock sector. Now, the Tier 1 only uses what you call the livestock population. So the Tier 2 takes into account the population as well as other factors like the weight of the animals, the age of the animal, then the feed that the animals, the quality of the feed that animals consume. And that is what Ghana intends to move into.
The workshop of the Livestock GHG Inventory Improvement Support in Ghana was to launch the 2-year study, which is funded by the New Zealand Primary Industries. That's all for Prime Business tonight. My name is Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.